Eleanor with Girls Globe, and we're here in Toronto at the ICM Congress. So thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure.
Please, could you introduce yourself?
My name's Kate Gilmore, and I'm the Deputy High Commissioner for Human Rights with the United Nations.
We heard you talk this morning, and you said that the world, particularly at the moment, is in need of more humanity. What role do you see midwives playing?
Ever since people were born, there have been others who stood with the woman as the birth was occurring, who guided her through its pain and its fear, who ensured she arrived in labour well, and that with a newborn baby was also supported as she took on her new role as mum. Those people, in their solidarity with her at her most vulnerable, have historically been midwives, and they are indeed still today. It's one of the most humanising things to do for another at the moment of giving life, to stand in solidarity with that act with both mother and baby. Out of that compassion, that solidarity and that determination, we can and should find the hope for the world. If we all understood that which drives a midwife to stand in deepest compassion, in strongest solidarity at the toughest of times with people in the toughest of places, that renewable energy is what will bring the world forward and away from conflict, from crisis and division.
Well, thank you. More people today in the world are displaced than ever before. How does that impact the work that midwives are doing?
Look, the first thing we have to understand is that the size of the world's population is one of the greatest achievements of humankind, because it is the tangible evidence that when we reduce rates of preventable infant and maternal mortality, which would not have occurred without midwives, then the human species flourishes. And we have therefore today alive more young people than the world has ever seen before in all of human history, because midwives, amongst others, succeeded in stopping women and children from dying. Now, on the other side of that comes great responsibility, because those young people are located in places of deepest poverty, worst conflict, and the greatest despair. You know, the median age of Niger, 15.
Really?
The median age of South Sudan, 17. The median age of Yemen, 17. The median age of Germany, 47. Poverty, despair, and all the sense of hopelessness that goes with it is young, young, young. And part of its story is, rather than join hate and extremism, those young people are in flight, and they are moving away from horror towards hope. But in that, they are more frequently greeted with rejection and abandonment than with openness and accompaniment. And a midwife, in Old English, midwife, means stand with, be with the woman. The world needs midwifery, meaning the world needs accompaniment, so that it steps forward to justice, away from bigotry, and never abandons those who at the hour of greatest vulnerability and in the toughest of times need our solidarity. And when there are more people on the move, we must accompany them, not abandon them, as indeed we are attempting to do. We must welcome them, not block them out with walls and borders and surveillance.
You said this morning that midwifery is a deeply political matter.
Yes.
Could you tell me a little bit more about what you meant by that?
Because midwifery throughout history actually has been the subject of political action against it. In the Middle Ages, midwives were burned, lynched as witches and heretics. In the context of the struggle against apartheid in South Africa, it was midwives who were at the forefront of the resistance to the heinous pass laws, the internal passport that sought to segregate the communities. In the time of slavery, you know, the courage of African American midwives was that they accompanied both black and white women through labour. In other words, midwives throughout history have stood with people irregardless, and they have accompanied the excluded, the marginalised, the rejected. Midwives remind us that we have a job to go where power does not go, to stand with the powerless in resistance against illegitimate power, and that's always political, by definition.
Of course. Thank you so much.